What if the skills you've used for years at work could become your next side hustle? Today, I'm joined by business coach Bukky Onifade, and we're talking about why so many women underestimate the experience they already have. Let's get started. Good morning. I'm so excited to welcome Bukky Onifade to the podcast today and have a conversation about her business. Bukky is a coach for midlife professionals that are making a pivot from corporate to a service-based business. So thank you, Bukky, for joining us today.
Thank you, Jamie, for having me.
No problem. I I've had the pleasure of talking to you before and seeing your website, but for those of us that haven't had that opportunity, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do and who you help?
Thank you. So I work with women professionals, just like you mentioned, women in their 40s, 50s, and beyond. And these are women they've spent years building careers, raising their families, accumulating expertise, and navigating life. At some point, they look up and think, there has to be more. And I think I have something to offer the world. And that is exactly who I work with. Through my company, Coach by Bookie, I help them take what they already know, their corporate backgrounds, their lived experience, their professional skill, and turn it into a coaching, consulting, advisory, or service-based business so that they can explain it clearly, they can price it confidently, and actually sustain it in the season of life that they're in. I keep thinking about the fact that you're not starting from scratch. You're starting from a wealth of wisdom. And that's where I begin with them.
How did you decide to start that? Because women have so many experiences. You've had many experiences. I'm sure you didn't wake up one day and just say, this is what I'm going to do. So how did you get to, this is the business I'm going to do?
It's been a journey. You're right. I didn't wake up one day or when I was very young and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. But it was pretty close, Jamie, because my first venture was at 10 years old, right? And this is what I did. I think in today's climate, that might be frowned upon, but I was 10 and I was babysitting an 8-year-old, but that was in the 70s. So we'll leave that in the 70s, shall we? So anyway, I had that job. I was being paid $10 an hour, Jamie. Can you believe that? $10 an hour. That's
Wow.
more.
Yes.
The money I made from that, I used it to buy ingredients to bake cakes because I love baking. Then I would sell the cakes to my family and neighbors. And that's kind of my entrepreneurial bug, if you will. That's where I caught it. Anyway, life happens. You grow up, you go to school, you have babies, you have husbands, and so on and so forth. Life just layers itself upon all that, a bright-eyed girl who was baking cakes for people. But I never let go of the entrepreneurial bug. So through my journey, I have run several businesses, including a publishing business, retail, food, all of that. However, as I got to this age, seasoned, shall we say, age, midlife, I began to see now I have been a coach for several years, but I pivoted into this sector or area of business because I was that person. I was the person that I wish that I had the kind of support that I'm offering to women today. Because I look around my peers, I look around my sisters, people around my age, and I can see that there is the support that they need to be able to harness what they have. And that's kind of how it happened. So it evolved into me working with women at this season of life.
Was there anything that almost stopped you from actually getting started?
Yes, absolutely. The voices in the head. It's like, what are you doing? It's late. You should be resting and relaxing and retiring with your grandbaby and all of this kind of stuff. The voices in my head and the fact also that I have made a lot of moves. So I've only recently arrived in the US, 5, 6 years now, transition moving from one area to another, even the slight cultural differences. So there are many things that stack up against you as a woman in business, as a woman in midlife in business. I could have listened to those voices and say, okay, I'm not going to do this or I'm going to take a different route. But I felt very passionate about what I wanted to do. So I just had to figure out the practical side of things. We know what we want to do, but there's also the practical side and the systems that we need to put in place to be able to do that. I just had to wade through those voices.
Oh, thank you. And I can relate to that. You have to sort of fight yourself to keep going.
Yeah,
Can you think
absolutely.
of a woman that you helped, or maybe share a story about a woman that you helped and you're like, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing now?
That's a great question. I can think of several, but I will choose one. The main challenge that
Okay.
this woman had was that she had a lot of interests, a lot of passions, a lot of things that she wanted to do. She felt like time was running out. I've got to do it now. So, one of the things that we were able to do was to acknowledge the beauty of having so many passions and trying to do so many things, but also be able to put it into a system, put it into um, a process that you could do this and then you could do this and you can do this. It could sound simple, but sometimes when you have all these things that you want to do, you want to bake, you want to be a chef, you want to be a writer, there's so many things that you want to do, and you have these burning passions inside of you. It helps to be able to have somebody come alongside you to help you put in that process, support you through creating the systems that are going to work and create a sustainable business for you. This is what I did with this woman, was to be able to do that. Sometimes it would be a bit of a tug of war, but I want to do this. I'm like, yes, we shall, but we're going to do it within the process and within the system. Yes.
That's great. So what changed for her and how did that make you feel afterwards? What did you experience after you worked with her?
I think the significant thing that changed for her was that she had the permission to have all these interests. She didn't feel like somebody telling her, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. So she was able to rest in that, and that was brilliant. Then she was then able to translate all her passions, all her experiences into a sustainable business. I think what that did for me was that it helps me to see that if a woman has the support that she needs when she wants to start up her business, there are so many external factors that come against us, that came against me when I started. But having that support, having that person walking alongside you, giving you permission to feel the way you feel or believe the things that you believe about your potential and capability, and then be able to move that into the actual structure of a business. I thought, wow, this really validates what I felt when I started this business. It made me think this is this is possible. It is possible to help women and even help them at scale, because I feel like for her, her feelings, the way she was at the time, is quite universal with women because we have a wealth of
Mhm.
experience. We have so many passions. There's so many things that we want to do. The question is, what is the process and how do we do it? What are the containers in which we put them so that we can create this actual business structure?
I love what you said there because it's funny how quickly women will give permission to people, but when it comes to ourselves, it's like we need the permission to do it and you have to give yourself permission. So I love what you said there.
Yes, absolutely.
Was there anything that has felt harder for you than expected as you've started your business?
Like I mentioned earlier, I think for me, it's been in a different environment, in a new environment. That's been hard. And I did move at a time when I moved just pre-COVID. There was a lot of upheaval anyway, in the world, but that does affect, and it has sort of rippling effects. You know, we're still experiencing it today. That was a significant issue, almost like a stumbling block, but it wasn't at the end of the day. It was hard. It was hard sort of settling into a new environment, creating those connections, building those relationships. But I do believe that as women, we are the master of transition. and pivot. By the nature of our lives, we get married, we have children, it's a new baby, it's a different experience. All of those things are kind of inbuilt in us so that even though it appeared difficult and challenging, can draw from our reserves, we can draw from our experiences and be able to navigate those challenges. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. One of the things I like to talk about, even on the podcast, is being realistic about how long it takes to get going. There's so many videos out there now that talk about get rich quick or things will happen overnight. Was there any advice you would give, or how do you feel the time frame went to actually launch your business? Did it feel like it took longer than you expected?
I do. I do feel it took longer than than I expected, but it didn't take longer than it should. I say that to mean this. That things will take their time, it'll take their course. I get that we turn on the TV or we turn on Instagram or YouTube and we see that people have they started their business yesterday and then they made 1 million today. Those things come at us, but they don't reflect the reality of business, because business by its very nature is uncertain. There are things that you think you can project, but it does not necessarily mean it'll be that way. There are people that you believe you want to go out and serve, but you still have to do your validation. You still have to sometimes niche down to be able to expand. There's so many things that are involved. That's why I said, to me, it felt like it was taking long, but in reality, it takes as long as it takes for you to get to where you
Yes.
need to go to in business. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. I love how you said that. And that's so true because I struggle with that pressure. I should be further, but you're where you're supposed to be. I do believe that. If you were talking to a woman right now and she was really struggling with getting started or just getting the motivation to start a business, what would you say to her today to start now?
Start now. Start today. That's it. Start today. Don't plan for the entire business from start to finish to the day that you sell the business or whatever that looks like. But start now. Start today. Start to do an audit. So when I work with my client, I get them to do an audit of their experience, their audit of their expertise. Do an audit. What is it that I am good at? But what is it that the market is looking for? Because often we want to do something that we're good at, but the market is not asking for it. There is that product market fit. I would say start now, start thinking about what you're passionate about, what you feel that you can offer to the world, what experience that you can bring that would command some value. By that I mean money, because that's what you want to do when you start a business, is to have a business that you're paid for. That's what I would say. Just start more. Don't overthink it. Don't do hundreds of research. If you want to do a business plan, do like a lean startup business plan. It's just, I used to do a program for children, an entrepreneurial program in the UK. Yes, it was called Kids of the Biz. That was the best name I could come up with at the time. But I did run it for about
I
2
like
years.
it.
And in the 2 years, I worked with approximately 5,000 children from the ages of 7 to 11. And I actually did work with some 4-year-olds at some points, but that is another story. Yeah. I say that to say, with the children, I just hinged the whole class and the whole curriculum around 5 Ps, which are called the people, the place, the price, the promotion, and the product. For women who are starting today, I want them to think of business is pretty simple. It's not easy, but it's pretty simple. You have your product, you have the people who are going to buy it, and you have a way to promote it. Holding on to that very simple piece would help you to think it's not that of a big deal to start. Now, when you start, there's a lot more layers to it, to be honest, but for you to start, just think of the 3 Ps. What's my product? Who are my people? And how do I get it to them?
Okay. Well, that's great. Do you find that women dismiss some of their experience? Like, oh, I couldn't start a business with that. Everybody knows how to do that. But then when you dig into it, that's actually not true. And they really could help people with something that they feel is pretty simple.
Incredibly so. One question that I ask is when at work, because I work with women moving from corporate, at work, what is it that people always ask you to do? Like for me, when I was working, people would say, "Oh, can you help me deal with that person?" And that's okay because it was part of my personality. I was okay to talk to people, but I could put that in the market and call it like a human resource conflict resolution consultant, and I can get paid for it a lot of money because there's a lot of problem people at work. So that's a big skill. Just it just takes some reframing. So you're absolutely right that we women, we look at our experiences and we think of it as "It's just something I do. It's just I just do it. It's fine." But when you think about it, or when somebody else shows you the mirror to it and said, "Do you know that this is actually conflict resolution? This is a human resource skill that you have that somebody else is going to pay for," then it takes on a different shape, a different color. So yes.
One of the things I talk about on the podcast is fitting your business into your daily life. If you want to move forward, this has to work in your weekly schedule. Do you have some tips or how do you make that work for you?
Okay. I would say it's very important to be clear on your why. I'm sure many of our listeners have heard of Simon Sinek, and he talks about the why, knowing why you want to do something. That's pretty important. And I say that because it drives your how. If you know why you're wanting to do it, the reasons for it, the outcomes ahead of it, how you will see yourself in the business and all of that, then how you go about it becomes a little bit easier to navigate. So I would take moments from your day. I would take moments, the things that you're normally doing. I'm going to reverse habit stacking a bit because with habit stacking, it's like you want to do something, but you do it along with something that you already do. For instance, you're driving and you want to do some personal development. So you're listening to tapes, listening to audio. That's habit stacking. Similarly, with business, if you want to start, what is it that you're doing in your day? Are you driving? Is there something you could do while you're driving? Could you do a video, a quick post for Facebook or Instagram? Or are you ironing? Or are you in the shower? This is my best place, Jamie. It's a place where I get the most ideas. I don't know about anybody else, but use that time to think about your day and how you're going to structure your day and the kind of things that you're going to do. I would say work it into your daily activities. If you don't have the time to say, I'm going to take 3 hours away to go and work on my business, then incorporate it with your every day. You go into the supermarket and maybe you want to do retail. Rather than just look at the shelves for what you're looking for, look for what's on sale. Look for what looks like this seems like something that people are buying. Maybe you want to put it on Amazon and sell it. There's just different ways of appropriating your day and doing things along the way. But like I said, make your why very big. Why am I doing this? And then it just makes it easier for you to formulate your how.
Thank you. I love that. And I love that you said that you know some of your best ideas come in the shower. So I think of shower, car rides, anytime that I have some downtime, that's when you get some really great ideas and it's hard to get downtime. So, I try to make sure I actually get some downtime so that I have time to think of other things. I'm glad that you said that. You talked earlier about, how busy women are. We may have families, spouses, might be taking care of parents, just a lot of things, balancing jobs and maybe doing something on the side. How have you been successful trying to balance all these different aspects of your life and anything that you can share with our listeners today on just balancing all of that?
Yeah. Balance is a tricky thing. We expect that we can always have balance. We can't. I think that's the first thing I should say. We don't always have balance. Things will skew one way or the other sometimes. It's just the way it is. It's important to be okay with it, right? Because it will come back into balance. So how do I achieve balance? I have that mindset that maybe today or maybe this week, my focus is on this. Perhaps I'm trying to create a new program. Then I'm going to take myself away to focus on that. But that means that I may not be able to speak to my sister every Sunday like I would normally do. But as soon as I'm done, I can speak to her twice on Sunday to make up for it. I am regulating myself and bringing things back into balance. My thing is just have the mindset that you will not always be balanced, but you can do the things that you need to do, make up for things. And then also with my sister, she knows that I have a business. I bring her into my situation. Hey, this is what's going on, whether it's my sister, my spouse, my children, bring them along. Hey, I'm trying to do this. I'm really passionate about it. I may not be able to do the things I need to do like I would normally do it, but just give me some time. I'll be right back. So let's shift that thing that we have as women of, oh, we must do this, we must, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and just be, yeah, I just feel that, listen, this is a time I need to do this. I'll come back to that, and then everything will be right in the world again.
I love what you said because it's really setting expectations, even with family. Like you said, my sister knows that I'm working on my business and that I will connect with her. I think it helps too, just setting the expectations with loved ones. This is what I'm focusing on, but we'll make sure to make these important points in time to connect as well.
Absolutely.
So, Bukky, I have loved our conversation today. If there are people that want to connect with you, what's the best way to do that? How can they reach out to you?
Thank you. Yes, the best place to connect, I think, is the website, which is coached by Bukky, just like you can see there on the screen, one word.com. On there, you can find information about what I do, how I support women. Also, there's a free midlife reset toolkit that people can download. It just helps them to do a reset for them to start their business or for them to scale their business, whichever point that they are. And I know I'm on socials, the same name, Coach by Bukky. So yes, I would love for your listeners to pop in and say hello on there.
That's great. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed the conversation today. Thank you for sharing how you've been successful and some tips for women that are looking to do the same thing.
Thank you, Jaime. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. As we wrap up the conversation with Bukky, there's a few things I really want you to remember. First, you're probably carrying more experience, knowledge, and wisdom than you realize or can appreciate. One of the themes that came up throughout the conversation is that many women dismiss the very skills that could become the foundation of something very meaningful. The things that feel easy to you may be incredibly valuable to somebody else. Second, you don't need to have the entire plan figured out. And we've talked about this in many episodes. You don't need to have your entire plan figured out before you begin. You don't need the best business idea, the perfect website, or the strategy. You need a starting point. As Bukky shared, sometimes the most important step is simply just deciding to start today. Finally, building something in midlife isn't about starting over. It's about building on everything you've already learned. You have a career, you have life experiences, your successes, your mistakes, and the challenges that you've overcome are all part of the foundation for your next step. If you've been thinking about starting a side hustle, a business, a passion project, or just simply starting to explore what might be next for you, let this episode be your reminder that it's not too late and you're not behind at all. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with another woman who may be wondering what is her next chapter and what might that look like. If you're looking for help finding your own next step, be sure to download my free Second Act Pathfinder. It's designed specifically for busy women balancing careers, family, and life who still want something meaningful all of their own. Until next time, keep making space for the life that you're trying to build. Thanks.